YouTube parts. Jack Spade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today we're going to go through how to get started in leathercraft on the cheap. So I'm going to go through some things that I picked up, and under 25 bucks you can get started in this. So come on in and let's get started. All right, so you can see I've been to the dollar store, and all these items I can use for leatherworking, and everything here is under 25 bucks. So let's go ahead and start unbagging this stuff. First item I've got is a small pair of curved and needle nose pliers, and I use those a lot, especially in stitching, pulling needles and such. So those come in very handy. They sell a multi-purpose contact cement, and obviously, you can go purchase more expensive contact cements. I've used this one several times, and believe it or not, it works really well. And in fact, it says right on the front: wood, metal, ceramic, china, fabric, most plastics, porcelain, and leather. So they even say it's for leather, but it works pretty well. The next item is a craft knife set. So it comes with the handle and 6 different blades. So that's awesome for cutting, obviously, leather and thread and such. Next item is 4 dowel rods, just wooden dowel rods, and you can use these for multiple things. I use them a lot for when I turn a bag inside out to push the corners out. You could use them for burnishing the edge of your leather. So there's all kinds of uses for those, and 4 of those would probably last you forever. The next item is a set of 4 crafting clamps, and if you were gonna contact cement 2 edges together, or if you wanted to hold some edges together while you were stitching, these little clamps work great. And what I like about them is they're plastic coated. They're metal, but they're coated with a plastic, so they don't seem to scar the leather, but they work great. So I've got a set of 4 of those. Then next, I've got a piece of wood. This is what they call a hanging wall shelf, and all I did was, it's just a flat, maybe a 3/16 1/4-inch thick piece of wood, and what I would use it for, let me open my crafting knife here. Get the handle out. This is a number 11 blade, and that's the blade that I use most of the time as a number 11. Let's see if we can get this opened up enough to. There we go. So let's go ahead and open this. We can set the string and the ring that comes with it. I'm just wanting to use the wood. So we've got a nice flat piece of wood here. Then they have a crafting area in there. They have this styrofoam. A lot of people use this for floral stuff, but you could take this piece of styrofoam, perfect use for your contact cement to get started. And let's put some contact cement on the bottom of this. Kind of put that in the middle. Move it around just a little bit. Pop it back off. And let that kind of cure for a second. We can set that on its side. And then as soon as both of those cure for a second, we can stick those together. And I'll show you what I'm going to use that for. And what it works really good for. While we're waiting on that, we'll go to the next item. And we have a 5-piece, they call it a clay craft tools set. And I like it because it's got different shapes, and these are all plastic, but there's different shapes in there. And you could use these as burnishing tools or scribes. So you could scribe a line on your leather with it. And it's got all different kinds of shapes in here. Here's one that would be perfect for a scribe. It's got a rounded, pointed end on it. So there's 5 tools right there that you could find a use for. And again, those are called clay craft tools. Let's go ahead and set this piece of foam back on our piece of wood here using our contact cement. Now, you could use just the piece of foam, but if you get much weight up here above this, it's going to want to tip over. That's why I got the piece of wood, and that's going to make it very, very stable. Then what you can use that for is to put your tools in. You can either pre-drill the holes, or it's very easy to put your tools in that foam. And if it's when you put it on that piece of wood, that makes it very stable. It's not going to be easy to knock over. So you could put punches, stamps, whatever you wanted to in there, and makes it very convenient to put this on your workbench, and you can reach up and grab your tools, use it, stick it right back in there. It always keeps it right at hand. So very handy there. I also picked up 2 pieces here of these are called meal portions. All they are is just a plastic like a container to keep leftovers or whatever in. What's great about those, they come with a lid, and for instance, you can take your clamps, your blades from your craft knife, contact cement, even your pliers. Everything small fit right in there, and you've got a container sealed along with your styrofoam stand to keep everything organized. Now let's go on. The next item is a poly cutting board, and I use these all the time, different sizes, thicknesses, and I use this for my like punching. If I punch holes for snaps or rivets or anything like that, doing any type of lacing, if I'm going to punch holes, I use this. It doesn't seem to damage any of my punches, which it works great. And after, I've used one of these cheap ones over a year, and eventually it'll want to crack. And once it gets so bad, I just throw it away and go spend another $1.25, and I've got a brand new one. So that comes in real handy. Next, I've got a package of metal brushes, and I use these metal brushes for my contact cement. They're perfect for that. They're square on the end here. There's 5 of them in a pack. That'll last you quite a while. I normally use these one time and throw them away. Again, they can either fit right in your storage container or push right down into your styrofoam holder. Next, got a package of 8, and there's 4 different sizes in here, and these are foam brushes, and I've used these several times for doing dye, using dye on leather. They seem to work really well, especially I prefer a wool dauber, but if I don't have a wool dauber, I've used these several times. So that would last quite a while. Again, I use it once, throw it in the trash, because you get 8 of those for $1.25. We talked about the small clamps earlier. I also use these larger clamps. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've probably seen me use these. They're plastic. Now, they're a little stronger and a little more aggressive than those little plastic coated ones, but these work really well if you're trying to hold some thick leather together for punching, stitching, whatever it is. These work great. You get 2 of those for $1.25. Then I found this, what they're calling a mini screwdriver set. There's 14 pieces in here, and the top just unscrews off and comes with a handle. And what really appealed to me about this is these bits. Look at the size of that bit, that tip. I don't know if you can see that, but it is tiny. That And the next size, it's just a little bit bigger. All it is just a tiny slotted screwdriver tip. And I mean tiny. But they are steel. I think what would be great to use that for would be to punch holes for stitching. So if you didn't have a stitching punch, this would work great. I'd punch right through that leather because it's good and sharp on the end. And if you wanted to use it and you're having problems with it coming out of the handle, you could always glue that in there. But that would work great for punching stitching holes. It also has other bits that you could probably use also. You might be able to use one of those also. There's a round one here that you could use as a scribe. So multiple uses for that. Again, just $1.25 for that little handy tool. Next, I've got a tape measure. So for making patterns or measuring out your leather for cutting. One I like about this one is it locks as you pull it out. You don't have to push a button to lock it. You push a button to let it retract. So it's pretty handy. You pull it out and it'll stay. You don't have to hold it, which makes it nice. That's pretty good for $1.25. So very handy to have, obviously. Pair of scissors. I didn't buy a pair of scissors, but you could get scissors there also. One thing I did get, we're talking about punching for stitching holes. Well, if you don't have a stitching hole punch to show you the distance, so you don't have to mark each one with a pen or a pencil, you can take a regular fork, a table fork, and these come 3 for $1.25, and you can bend this any way you want and actually use it to mark. You can use your mallet, your hammer to mark your leather, and that will put your stitching holes exactly the same spacing apart from each other. So it'd be like having a 4 prong punch, stitching punch. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to punch through leather. I'm just saying this could mark where those holes are going to go. Then you could use your little punch here. Or if you had a stitching punch, you could use that also. Now, if you sharpened these a little bit, you probably could use that for an actual punch. But for marking holes and keeping them spaced exactly apart, this works perfect. So, for under $25, you've got all of this that's very useful to get you started and grab you some leather and go for it. All right, appreciate you coming along, appreciate you watching, and come back next week, check out the next video. It's going to be real interesting. It's going to be something I've never done before, so I'm looking forward to it. So I hope you are too. Please, as I always say, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.